Welcome to this video. It is the 11th of May 2013 and we are sitting here in Pretoria at the University of South Africa, UNISA, in the offices of the SARChI chair that is held by Professor Catherine Odora Hoppers. And I'm sitting here with one of the SARChI family members. And I would be so happy if you could explain who you are, your name and everything about you.
My name is SARChI Zelezeck. I am from Cameroon and I'm a trained in law initially. I have a first degree in law, postgraduate diploma in law, a master's degree in law, and then I've in the recent years developed an interest on economic issues. Hence my new job, which is around local economic development. I work for the Local Economic Development Network of Africa, and it's basically, our mission is basically to promote an economic development dimension into the normal functioning of local governments across the continent.
And how did you get to know Catherine?
It's an interesting story actually, because at the time I think I was interested in registering for a PhD. I've just finished my master's, so I was thinking of registering for a PhD at the Center for African Renaissance Studies. And somehow before I could do that, I got one of the publications of the center. I think it was actually the first issue of the center's center peer review journal. When I was reading it, the first thing I saw was an article by Professor Odora Hoppers. So I think I was in Mozambique at the time. I was living in Mozambique at the time. So I read through the article, was very impressed, and when I was trying to know more about this author, then I Googled and then find that she has just been given a chair at UNISA, which was just been inaugurated. So I took an interest in the chair and started researching, and the distance was not helping because I could not see her directly. So that's how online I eventually sent her an email with a two-page proposal on my topic, and then that's how.
What is your topic, or was your topic? Is it the same as now?
Yes, it hasn't changed much. Of course, the title has changed tremendously, the focus has changed tremendously, but the core ideas remain the same. Because I remember at the time I was primarily concerned with the level of entrepreneurship across the different African countries. Having been from Cameroon, having lived in Mozambique and in South Africa, I could see the differences and the dynamics, how in a country where there is an important foreign population like the Indians in Mozambique, or the white and Indian population here, how that dynamic plays out as far as entrepreneurship for the indigenous, the African people is concerned. So that was kind of the initial thought, but it was all centered around an interest in questions about non-state mode of development, which type of dynamics can really take place on their own within society to enable transformation of society, because I became to be very disillusioned in 2008 about the possibility of the state to be the main agent of societal change. And therefore that kind of shifted me from my initial focus that was more political, more law and public sector, to a focus that became more society, the private initiatives, collective actions and so on. So that, I think those are the type of, at a very ideological level, those are the type of thinking that transformation I was personally going through in 2008. And those are the things that led to the formulation of my topic and interest in entrepreneurship. And meeting and discovering Prof and seeing already at that time from an article that there was a lot of shared common vision on a number of issues really helped me to connect directly with her. And at least for the first year of registration, I never saw her. The only thing we did was, after the one-page proposal, we had a brief phone interview where, as she said, she wanted to feel me. And then after that, before I knew it, I've sent document, I was registered. And then I stayed in Mozambique for some few months. And when I came back here, that's why we eventually met around 9 months later. Yeah, so that was the context of my meeting her, the context of my evolving thoughts and interests more in economics, which manifested itself in the topic as well as in the new job which I took at the time around economic development.
Which job?
Which is the job with LEDNA, which is the Local Economic Development Network of Africa.
The
Local Economic Development Network of Africa.
Okay.
It's basically which is based in Pretoria.
Okay.
Which is based in Pretoria. It's basically you could say it is a program of the African Unions of Local Government. It's called the organization is called United Cities and Local Government of Africa. So LEDNA is a program of that organization.
Okay.
And that program, of course, United Cities and Local Government focuses on decentralization, questions around local government empowerment, and LEDNA is their project that focuses specifically on the economy.
Right.
Yeah.
So you are now doing your PhD?
Yes.
And you will finish in some time. We heard your presentation, which was fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
I would be interested to know how you think, if you could wish the best, nothing else happens, 10 years from now, 30 years from now, 50 years from now, the SARChI goals and your life path, will they go together? Will you manifest these goals in your life?
Well, I think the SARChI goals are many and multifaceted, but they speak basically to a basic thing, which is the bringing back humanity into the research process, which is about moving away from what is a legacy of positivism and quantitative type of research, which has continued even in qualitative research, which was claiming a different epistemology, is the question of the absent researcher, you know, the objectivized type of approach to research. And that bringing back of the researcher in itself is a very powerful tool, because it suddenly makes you involved. You're not just writing abstract statements and saying science has said this and so on. You're personally involved, and therefore that chain effect of personal involvement in one's project is one of the key distinctive things that the SARChI is bringing, and probably is lasting legacy. Because by the time, and you could hear from the presentation today, the very process of doing the research in a way generated or triggered a certain process of transformation of the person. And that's the key element, partly in the African context, perhaps more than in the other context, because in the African context, for a long time, education was lived as an artificiality. You know, you lived education as that thing, that white man thing.
Right.
You go to school and learn abstract theory, and you will find, for example, that an accountant who is very knowledgeable about principle of accounting, having learned it at school, will start his own business and not use those principles in this business, because he considers those principles as kind of some abstract things that are to be applied when you are forced to. So the level of appropriation of school, it's a key challenge in the African context, and one of the things that
I think it's everywhere more or less like that.
It's slightly different in the European context, from my little knowledge of it, because there's a bit more of a cultural connection between school and society. That disconnection between school and society in African context creates people who are trained but who are completely kind of divorced from real life. So they kind of put compartments in their life. This is the time of school, this is the space of school, and this is the space of my life. And that is one of the main challenges that we have to overcome in Africa. If education as a noble idea, as an idea that's not just westernization, can achieve its emancipatory potential in Africa.
So if you could choose, and in an ideal world, where will I find you in 10 years, in 20 years?
That's a big question. For the meantime, I still have to spend quite some years in my current position. I like it. Probably one of the things that the research has done, what has added to my perspective, is that I can see clearly that there will be an afterlife to the project that I'm doing. So in a way, if I want the effort the effort that I've put in the project now to be meaningful, they have to continue that. So the research has made me to consider some sort of academic career, research career, which I wasn't before. Because before, I think when I started the PhD, I was interested in the action part of it. learning skills that I could use in society. And what the PhD has done, he has kind of awakened me to the possibility of research, theory development, new knowledge creation as powerful tools for transforming society itself. So in a way, research is not just that abstract thing that you do to fill books, or that you need to do and then take and implement. A powerful idea in itself has kind of autonomous life of its own. And once such an idea has been crafted, anybody can pick it to transform society.
Wow. So do you have any message to the world?
I don't know. Yes, I think one of the challenges that we face now is the question of openness from all sides. I think, at least from the African perspective, at one point there was, at a time, various groups. Some of the groups which I think used to be quite hostile to the imported knowledge that we have learned, and therefore believed in the kind of a return to where we are. But at the same time, I think we are enriched by what we learn from the other. And I think the plea, definitely the perspective that we should have is that the world is plural. The world is plural, and we all have to learn from the other in significant ways. And I think the prerequisite from learning from the other is a recognition that we are all equal as humans. Yeah. I think one of the main things that has distorted that possibility of universal learning is the hierarchy that has been put into knowledge. Absolutely. And the belief by some that their knowledge was superior, and by others that their knowledge was the inculcation into the other that this knowledge was inferior. So we need to arrive at that platform where we perceive knowledge as equal, we perceive the experience of the other as valuable as ours, and then we will probably be able to build a more human, a more pluralistic, a more equitable world.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Okay.